Alright guys, today we got this brake job, but I do want to show you a 10 key points, 10 key places where you should lubricate on your brake system and to make your brakes last longer and everything smooth. So first of all, right here you have a hub. You do want to clean. This hub looks pretty good, but I would use a buffer, a wire brush. This is a soft brush, and you want to clean here. So the tips are here: cleaning and lubricating. So right here, you want to clean all this area, blow some air on it, make sure all the dust is out of there. And then I'm going to show you two different types of grease, okay? So this is the grease I'm going to be using right here. And there's a part number right there. It's 05353. You want to put a little bit of greasing on this hub because when that disc sits over here, it's going to be nice and flush, okay? You don't have to go crazy with the grease, just enough. And there's no right or wrong, so just put some grease here, you should be good. All right, I'm gonna get the second grease, but before that, let's move on a little bit further. Next step, what I like to do is I like to clean this up a little bit. Not a lot of mechanics do it, but if you're doing your own brakes, it takes a second. You know, when I do brake jobs, you don't even notice that I did this. So clean this, the rotor boot here, and you can use I like to use this. This is one of my grease for braking. There's a part number right there. So just take a little bit on your fingertip right there and just put it around the boot, because when you compress this piston, it's gonna go back in nice and smooth. You probably won't be able to get it all around, but it's worth doing this. It's gonna keep the rubber boot nice and smooth, and it's gonna be perfect. And after that, we're gonna take an old brake pad and we're gonna compress the piston. All right, next. Now it's time to take a new old brake pad, and you're gonna compress your pistons. All right, so all I'm doing is compressing this. If you're watching a video on how to do the brake jobs, you'll see that there. But do grease it before, that way your boot, when it enters back into the piston housing, it's nice and greased and lubricated, and the life of it will be expanded. Anyway, that's done. Let's move on to the next step. Okay, next step is we're gonna go back one step. We're gonna put the disc on so our brakes can come along as we go. All right, just take your disc, put on the little screw. That's gonna hold that in spot. Some cars don't have it, some have it. This is the Honda Odyssey, it has it. All right, so that's done, and I'm gonna show you the next cleaning and greasing point. So the next step is we got our bracket here, okay? So inside this bracket, you have sliding pins, this one over there. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull out this sliding pin, very good place to lubricate. And I'm gonna go get another a rag so we can clean this. So all you need to do is clean this sliding pin over here. If you want to clean inside the bore, you can do that, but not a lot of people do that because you're never gonna get all that grease out of there. But now we're gonna use this silicone grease, part number right there. I do have a good instructional video on how to grease these pins, because you don't want to put greasing on the tip, right on the edge right there, because that will not let the pin compress back into the bore properly. So a little bit of grease all around and you're good, and we're done there. So what we're gonna do is make sure you put this back in the same spot. You don't want to put this on the top, because the other one goes on the top. Next step, so the next tip here is to clean the surface where the old hardware kit was. I took off the old hardware kit that was here, just pop it open, and you're gonna clean the surface. Wire brush, I usually use a file if it's heavy duty rusted, because the file just grinds off the rust, but this car is in fairly good condition. All right, so the next tip here is we're gonna grease 1, 2, 3, 4. So those are 4 different spots, okay? You're gonna put greasing here, greasing here, greasing there. Let me grab more grease. Greasing here. And I'll do more videos on this kind of stuff so you guys can understand other things about cars. All right, so that's when you take your hardware kit and you smack it on. Make sure it's nice and flush. It's not gonna hit the disc, so you don't have a grinding noise. But anyway, this is perfect, okay? Let's do another one. Let's put this one on. I'm sure you're able to put the hardware kit in properly, but this is a video on how to grease. A lot of people grease over here on these pinpoints, but I do not grease them there, because from experience what I have seen was the grease on the top layer here picks up dust, debris, and your brake pads jam up. Okay, so that's one thing I do avoid. If you buy good brake pads, like this is stainless steel, this is never gonna rust. Okay, if you buy good brake pads, you're gonna get good hardware kit. All right, so we're gonna put this back on. All right, now is the point where you take your bracket and put it back on. You're not gonna see me tighten this, so make sure you tighten and torque your bracket to the proper spec. If you want to tighten it, I like to tighten it either way is fine, because if you're an experienced mechanic, you know what you're doing and you don't want it over tighten or under tighten. And if you need torque specs, send me a message. But this is perfect. We're gonna move on. I'm gonna tighten this and then we're gonna move on to the last step. Alright, so this is gonna be the last tip here. So if you buy good brake pads, they should go in nicely and easily. So the best thing to do here is you take this brake pad, you put it in the spot, and then you should be able to, you see this? One finger. You should be able to push that pad in with the one finger. If your pad doesn't go in, you might have to file it a little bit here, but we're not talking about that. I do have video on that. So this brake pad should go in with one hand. You should not have to hammer it. I've seen people hammer these brake pads in. They put a screwdriver and hammer it in. That's you jamming things up to begin with. All right, here's another tip of greasing. Okay, you're gonna take some grease and you're gonna put this on the outer edge of this brake pad, and you're gonna do the same thing on the brake pad in the back. So if you're wondering what the hell is the point of all this greasing, the whole point is to make everything nice and smooth, avoid any brake noise, and it's gonna wear out the brake pads evenly and nicely. And after that, you put your caliper back in. You're all done. Bada bing, bada boom. Thank you for watching.